Hey everybody, it's your old pal Uncle Phil, and I think the thing I have to just admit is that I am inconsistent with YouTube, and yet, I am going to try to make it up, not because anyone has asked me to, but just out of personal pride. I'm going to try to make it up. So my goal was to record at least once a week, at the end of the week, to make sure I've recorded sermons for lost socks, to see if I could get that done before Sunday. And for I think I've missed the last 5 weeks or something like that. So I mean, I in my defense, like the last time I recorded was right before my daughter came to visit from the US, and she came for about 10 days. And then 2 days after my daughter left, my wife and I, we took off on a multi-week road trip in our van through France. So yeah, I told myself, I even took equipment with me. I was like, well, like when I missed when my daughter was here, because she was here and I didn't want to like sit down and record. And I thought, well, when I'm on my trip in the van, I'm gonna record in the van. And I never did. And it was a heat wave. We're having a heat dome in Europe, and it was just like, anyhow, never got around to it. But I even took the equipment. Like I took camera, mic, my iPad. I was like, I can just get it and I can upload. And no, never happened. Never happened. And you know what? I'm not going to feel bad about it. But as a point of personal, like, I don't know, accountability, I want to go ahead and get the recordings done that I said I was going to do and get them recorded. So anyhow, I'll probably upload a spate of recordings this week, trying to catch up and get back to real time. And then we've got guests coming like next week for 10 days. So it'll probably get screwed up again. But you know what? I think it's time to just admit this is who I am. At some point you stop fighting it and saying, this isn't right, I'll get back on track, and just go, I'm a person who's not on track. That may be the wiser move. Also, I know I'm holding a little wireless lapel mic, which I've actually seen people be like, you realize they're lapel mics. Why would you ever hold one? Well, the reason is because they're kind of heavy on a t-shirt. They sag, they end up in weird places, they get rubbed, they get strange, and they sound better when you're aiming at them. So yeah, I know I'm holding a lapel mic. I know I'm holding a wireless lapel mic. I don't care. It sounds better, I think. We'll see. Anyhow, so this one goes all the way back to June 21st. All right. So this is for June 21st. This is what I missed. And I've had to put the font. I probably still need glasses. I think I still need glasses for this. I put it on XXL, which is the largest it will go on this particular app. I'm telling you, man, the decline, the decay, the human condition, my dad used to say. All right, so here it is. It's interesting because this passage today, the passages, you have the Old Testament, the Psalm, the New Testament, and the Gospel, right? These are the four bits you get in a liturgical worship service. And so what's really fascinating to me is how they're kind of all tied together, but I'm not gonna hang out actually on, well, I would say the New Testament passage from Paul, Romans 6. Here's the thing. I kind of had to choose. I'm either going to do Romans 6 or I'm going to do the other three kind of put together. And I think I'm going to do the other three put together. Romans 6 is a really important theological concept, and I have often gone to Romans 6 as a go-to theological bedrock sort of bit of Bible. And I've taught on it many, many times. And I'm gonna not do it today, because the fact of the matter is that I think the other three are really interesting in how they're tied together, and I think it's kind of timely. So anyhow, the Old Testament passage is from Jeremiah, prophet Jeremiah, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can go look it up. June 21st. There are places to find this stuff. The Eucharist service from June 21st, 2026, right to whatever. I don't know. You can look it up. I'm sure you'll find it. But it's from Jeremiah 20, verses 7 through 13. But it's this whole bit where Jeremiah is basically like, I've eaten dirt here. Like, I've become a laughing stock all day long. Everyone mocks me. And he kind of goes, you enticed me, Lord, and I was enticed. You've overpowered me and you've prevailed. And now everybody makes fun of me. Like, And he says, whenever I speak, I must cry out, I must shout violence and destruction. And the word of the Lord has become a reproach and a derision for me all day long. And it's this thing. He says, I'm weary holding it in. I cannot. I hear many whispering, terrors all around. Denounce him. Let us denounce him. All my close friends are watching for me to stumble. I love that. All my close friends are watching for me to stumble. Have you ever been in a place where the people close to you, this is not your enemies, these are your close friends. Think maybe even family. They want you to fail. There's something like that's twisted, man. That's messed up when the people closest to you want you to fall. But I don't know about you. I've been there. I've seen it firsthand. I've experienced it. I bet everybody's experienced that on some level. And so anyhow, this whole thing with Jeremiah, he says, he's talking about this, but then he turns around and he's kind of like, but you're going to defend me. You're going to defend me. All right. Well, then you go to Psalm 69. He says, surely for your sake, I've suffered reproach and shame has covered my face. So this is the psalmist saying to God, for you, I've eaten dirt. So second instance of somebody saying, yeah, for the sake of following you, I'm taking some hits, God. I'm taking some hits for you, right? It's not great. It's not great. And he says, I've become a stranger to my own kindred, an alien to my mother's children. The scorn of those who scorn you has fallen upon me. And he says, but he goes on and he says, but this is my prayer. In your great mercy, answer me with your unfailing help. Save me from the mire. Don't let me sink. Let me be rescued. So a similar vibe to the Jeremiah passage, right? Again, I'm not going to look the whole thing up. It's Psalm 69. You can go look it up. So you got the Jeremiah passage, you got the Psalm passage, and you got this whole thing of like, I'm eating shit here, and it's because of my affiliation with you. And the people closest to me in the Jeremiah, it's my close friends. And in the Psalm, it's my own kindred, my mother's children. So that would, be my siblings. Like the people closest to us are not on our side. In fact, they're in opposition. They will revel in my failure. They will revel in what they see as me getting what I deserve somehow. That's kind of what's going on here. It's dark stuff, man. It's dark stuff. And so you read that and you think, man, that first of all, that sucks. That's not great. This is not a great selling point for following God, right? Like if this is how it goes for like a prophet and then for David, a man after God's own heart, like a king of Israel, if this is how this goes, I think Psalm 69, I'd have to look. Maybe Psalm 69 wasn't written by David. I'll just put an asterisk in that. I forgot to look that up. But whoever, the psalmist, you look at this and you go, this is terrible. This is awful. I don't want it. I don't want it. Why would I do this? Why would I endure this? Why would I put up with this? Why would I want this in any way, shape, or form as my life? But then you get to the gospel section, right? We're skipping Paul. You can always read Romans 6. It's fascinating. But you get to there and it says, it's Jesus talking, and he says, a disciple is not above the teacher, nor a slave the master. It's enough for the disciple to be like the teacher and the slave like the master. If they've called the master of the house Beelzebul, how much more will they malign those of the household? So, Jesus is referencing here, the accusation was, and the older I get, the more absolutely bananas this becomes. The accusation is that the religious leadership so disliked what Jesus was doing and what he was preaching and what he was saying that, of course, the argument people made was, well, if he's not from God, how is he able to do this supernatural stuff? Because we thought supernatural stuff came from God. How is he able to do that? That was the question put to the religious leadership. If he's not, you're telling us he's a terrible guy, he's bad, he's horrible, right? The sanctimonious religious authorities were like, Jesus bad. And so the argument was, well, if he's bad, how is he able to do this stuff that kind of looks like it comes from God? And they're like, yeah. Here was their answer. You are, and Jesus himself asked them this. He said, how would I do this? And their answer was, well, you're actually a devil, and you're doing this by the power of Beelzebub or Beelzebul. Like you're a demon and you're doing it by the devil's power. Which you think about it, like this is sort of a thing that the devil's a supernatural idea as well. He's a supernatural entity. So he has supernatural powers. He can do supernatural things. Think about when Moses went to Egypt to like tell Pharaoh, let my people go. And he had all these miracles, these little tricks he could do, and then it says that the Pharaoh's court magicians could imitate most of them. Like the initial ones, they couldn't imitate the plagues, obviously. But the point is that their argument is, well, yeah, he can do magic tricks, but they're devil magic tricks. So it may look like it is in fact supernatural, but it's coming from the wrong side, right? Like it's the evil side. And so Jesus is saying to his disciples, he's like, a disciple is not above, the teacher, and a slave is not above the master. So you guys are my disciples. If they're calling me the devil, you think they're going to be nice to you? You think they're going to go easy on you? Is that what you think? You think if this is the way they treat me, you think they're going to go soft on you? They're going to come hard. It's going to be terrible. Which again, this is not really the best marketing campaign for Christianity, for sure. This is not awesome. But this is the thing. Is Jesus is like, look, I'm doing it too. I'm in it. Like, this is what I love is the whole concept of the incarnation. Jesus saying, I'm going to put on skin and walk around and experience being human. He understands, in Hebrews, was it Hebrews? Gosh, I've forgotten now. Is it where it is in Hebrews? It's the first 5 or 6 chapters. But, we have a high priest who's sympathetic with weakness because he's experienced all the things that humans experience. He's faced it all. In the what is it? Is it Matthew 11 with the come unto me, all you who are weary and heavy? Come unto me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. The idea is I'm walking with you. I'll help you carry the load. It's not I'll alleviate the load. I'll walk with you. So I think the comfort here, the comfort side, is that Jesus is like, first of all, I'm getting it too, and I'm enduring it with you. The second thing is, because he goes on then, and I'm not going to get into all the detail here. He says, have no fear of them, for nothing's covered up that will not be uncovered, and nothing secret will not become known. What I say to you in the dark, tell in the light. And what you hear whispered, proclaim from the housetops. Don't fear those who kill the body but can't kill the soul. Rather fear the ones who can kill both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Not one of them fall to the ground apart from the Father, and even the hairs of your head are counted. So don't be afraid, you're of more value than many sparrows. And then he goes on to this, acknowledge me before others. If you acknowledge me before others, I'll acknowledge you before my Father. But if you deny me before others, I'll deny you before my Father. So this is the idea here is, look, this, I'm with you. This stinks. So, hey, Jeremiah, hey, psalmist, hey, disciples. Yes, we're getting kicked in the teeth, and it sucks, and it's no fun. I'm doing it too, and if I am in fact who I say I am, if I'm the second member of the Trinity, if I'm God incarnate, then here's the thing I can tell you is I am enduring this along your side, and this is the right side to be on. Like I'm gonna stand before I'm gonna stand before God the Father, which no, I can't explain how God the Father and God the Son and the Trinity. I can't. And no one can explain Trinitarian theology, nor should they. But the point is that he's like, look, this is the game. This is the thing. This is how you live. It's going to be a tension. It's going to be a battle, which is not, again, what you want to hear. And he says, you don't need to worry about your opponents. Don't worry about them. Don't sweat it, but don't back down either. Don't change your tune because of the attack. Don't suddenly go soft on the reality of who I am and what I've taught you because they're coming at you, because they're going to continue to come at you. And remember, it could be anybody. Jesus was facing it from the religious leadership. The psalmist says it was my immediate family. Jeremiah says my close friends. Like, it can come from anywhere and everywhere. And some days it comes from all of it. And what's crazy is he says, look, he says, here's the thing. He says, I'm going to defend you before my Father in heaven because you stood with me. And he says, this last bit that's just, for years, I kind of didn't know what to do with it. He says, don't think that I've come to bring peace to the earth, which is funny because he is the Prince of Peace. In a way, this is sort of a literary play here he's making. Because at one point, if you go study, I once did this, you study all the things Jesus says, I came to do this. Usually what he's doing, it's a literary construct. He says, I came to do this, not that. I came to do this, not that. So he does this, I didn't come to do this, I came to do this. And the statement is, I didn't come to bring peace to the earth. I've not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I've come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and one's foes will be members of one's own household. Right? This is crazy. Because, and here's the thing. The other places where he says, I came to do, and it's something really nice, like to bring, forgiveness, to bring joy. I didn't come to judgment. I didn't come, this can sound like, wow, Jesus is kind of being terrible. I came to bring a sword and I didn't come to bring peace. Here's the thing. All of the things he says I came to do are true at the same time. So in some places, think about it. In Jesus' ministry, when Jesus showed up, there were generally two responses. And there may have been more, but you had people who heard his message and were like, I've been waiting my whole life to hear this. This is the best thing I've ever heard, right? They're like, this is great. God loves me. God forgives me. This is the best thing. And that's why people, you get all these people who are like, they would lay down their lives for Jesus because they've heard this message of grace and love and acceptance and kindness and mercy and goodness. And they're like, I am all in. And then the Pharisees, the religious leaders who heard the exact same message went, we must kill him. So both realities are true at the exact same moment. See, if you pick any one of these out of context and you don't read it, the whole story, you're kind of like, well, this is what, this is the only thing. No. On one hand, Jesus brought all these beautiful, lovely things to the world. And at the exact same time, unfortunately, the reality is he's going to also bring a sword to the very families and friends and relationships that we have. Because for whatever reason, there are people who will hear his message and instead of going, what a beautiful message of love and grace, will go, I hate that. And I want it, I must destroy it. And that's why I said this passage feels very timely to me today, because I hear so many people right now in the public square who, in the name of Jesus, are frankly preaching hatred and judgment, which are not the things Jesus preached. And yet they're convinced they're right. And if you are a person preaching that Jesus's message is one of love and grace and acceptance and goodness and kindness and all, the fruits of the Spirit and, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. If you're somehow saying, do not judge lest you be judged, if, take care of the don't try to get the speck out of your brother's eye until you've dealt with the 2x4 in your own. Like, if you are a person trying to preach that message, somehow there are people turning around and in the name of God and Jesus are saying, you're evil and you're horrible and you're apostate and you're the worst. Which now you're back to Jesus going, somehow they looked at me doing good works, good miracles, making people's lives better and said, well, that's from the devil. You're a demon from the devil. Somehow, and the level of hatred and disgust and fear and delusion that has to be going on in your heart for you to look at someone doing good, showing love and going, I hate that and I want to destroy it. I don't understand that, but I also have to be honest, I see it all over the place. It's terrifying to me. It's awful. I don't like it. But it's a fact. And that's what ties all of these passages together, right? Is you got Jeremiah going, I'm a laughing stock and the people closest to me want me to fall. You got the psalmist saying, my nearest kindred people, my mother's children, are out to get me. But in both cases, in Jeremiah and with the Psalm, they're like, hey, but I'm going to trust you. And Jesus is looking at his disciples, and it's kind of the same message over again. Look, it's bad. They call me a servant of the devil for doing good. So you can expect the same. But he says, but stick to your guns, man. And remember, sticking to your guns in the way of Jesus, I should be careful, because stick to your guns sounds like brace for a fight. Jesus almost never did anything that even remotely looked like a fight. He would sometimes get into a verbal, like, questioning, like a true debate that would end in a stalemate, and he would walk away. And it was a stalemate only because the other side wouldn't admit that he just beat them in the argument. That's literally what would happen every time. But this doesn't mean Jesus, like before Pilate, when he was being, called out, he was like quiet. You can go read in 1 Peter where it says he was like a lamb before his shears was silent. Jesus was not. When he was reviled, he did not revile in return, but instead entrusted himself to God. So that's sort of the ultimate message here is, look, man, first of all, don't be surprised when people are shitty at you, towards you for the fact that you're trying to actually walk in love as Jesus taught. And don't be surprised, by the way, if it's other people invoking the name of God and Jesus to attack you for trying to walk in the way of Jesus. I know it's just cooks your noodle. But he says, this is not unusual. I came to bring a sword to this kind of thing. Again, not to every family, not to destroy every family. This is one piece of what I do is I expose that divide. I expose that hypocrisy. And it will show up when I show up. Because that's the thing is you kind of can't be neutral on Jesus. You kind of can't be neutral. You kind of have to go, I'm in or I'm opposed. And the craziest part is to have people who are opposed while saying they're in. And that one just blows me away, but it's how it goes. So anyhow, that's the thing is this should be, alas, an expected reality. And just know that it finishes with, he says, here's the thing. He says, take up your cross and follow me, right? If you're willing to do that, he says, those who find their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it. He says, look, I know this is rough, but you're playing the long game here. You're playing the long game, and the long game is first of all, an earthly life lived for the right things, whether or not it looks like it's productive or valuable or optimized, it's still the right thing. And then you're also looking at an eternity that is one in which you're standing before God and he's going, thank you for trying to do the right thing in the face of immense opposition. So that's what I'm in for. That's what I'm going for. Trying to do right now, imperfectly, for sure, but trying to also be able to kind of, face my creator and not feel like, oh, sorry about that. I kind of punted all the time because I was scared or embarrassed or didn't want to go to the effort. Like, no, I take the hits, and always remember, Jesus took the hits way more than I ever will. So there you go. That's it. That's catches me up on one sermon, June the 21st, 2026. Yeah, that's it for me. Always remember, God loves you. God loves you no matter what. And Uncle Phil, I wish grace, peace, and love to everyone.